What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's Netflix original review of The Journalist. This is based off the book from Isoto Mochizuki. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell top to find out what's coming next. If you like any videos, awesome, hit that like button as well as commenting below on any video to watch, including this one. So, rebooted from the movie that came out in 2019 that won the Japanese award for Best Picture, this is a movie that follows, similar to something like Dopesick, different angles of a malfeasance case where the government got involved with payouts or bribes of some sort in this place called the Eshin Academy to have it built in a certain space, and that's illegal. That's something you can't do. And so therefore a journalist uncovers this thing going on, tries to investigate it, and finds many roadblocks and finds many problems trying to get that story out, whether it be the government, whether it be her own boss, whether it be people that she ends up uncovering. And after a death of a particular individual, it starts to explode into a much bigger scenario. So I do realize that this series was a movie a couple years before Dopesick came out, but I had never heard of the series or the movie. I didn't know anything about it. I had seen Dopesick last year. So when I started watching this series, I'm like, this feels really familiar, and it really does, because it follows the same structure and same kind of essence of what Dopesick did, but just on the Japanese culture level. So, you have the corporate malfeasance, you have the people who get hurt by it, and you have the people behind the scenes that push back against a bunch of unscrupulous people. And so with that said, what makes this show really interesting is how it leans into Japanese culture, about loyalty, about failure, about how people view the world in a particular different country than how we view it here. Here, it's a lot more, intense and stuff like that, but over there, it's a lot more ingrained in their society and their psychology and so on and so forth. So watching a series like this is kind of interesting because you start seeing how loyalty is such a big part of the Japanese culture, and even know that this situation that was happening really is intense to watch, because these people really want to say something, but the people higher up, they have to be loyal to, because it's just the way they were taught. So therefore, when they do feel like they're failure, as we see in this series, it becomes a bad thing. But what's also interesting is the levels of what they're willing to do when they're really just fed up with it. The people that actually stand up, or the people that, get constantly put down. It's just a really interesting thing to watch. And it's still, even with all the cultural differences and stuff like that, it's still really interesting to see how there are people, it doesn't matter what country it is, who are willing to stand up to people and willing to risk their lives and their jobs and their careers and stuff like that to tell the truth. And then the people that get in front of them, like the journalist's boss and stuff like that, is not really wanting to get into the cusp of what's really going on, even though they see that there is a major problem. And this is not even about money going to other people. It's about loyalty, which is an insane thing to think about if you really kind of get into the nuts and bolts. And so as a review of this show, I found it really fantastic. I really did. Is it hard to watch? Absolutely. It's similar to Dopesick, where you really get a sense of these people who are affected so deeply that it just becomes so uncomfortable to watch, but you have to watch anyways, because you really want these people who are being screwed over and being used to succeed in the end. And to watch the story play out, it's heartbreaking to watch how, because it's a different culture, because of how loyal and, close to the heart, the Japanese culture is, it makes it that much more difficult to watch, because, they have a sense of responsibility, but when they break that responsibility, it affects them in so many different ways. And that's just a really kind of intriguing thing to watch from somebody on my side of the spectrum. But like I said, it's still a very prevalent, very prescient message. It's still a very, you can see it in any culture, any, society, even in America, where you see so many different things like this happening, and you see so many people at higher levels pushing back and doing dirty things, and, the journalists behind the scenes really trying to push themselves forward, and, the families of the affected trying to do things. And that's what makes this show so great in a lot of aspects, similar to the other shows I talked about, is the fact that it's willing to show all sides and show how everything just kind of rolls into one big ball and gets so big that it eventually consumes everything around it. And it's really interesting. Like I said, the lead actress who plays the journalist is somebody who's just really trying to do something, and you see the pain in her eyes, you see the pain in her drive, you see everything that coming up against her and the roadblocks and stuff like that, and I found that really mesmerizing. And this show is directed by the same director who directed the movie, so there, I'm sure, is a lot of similarities between the movie and the show, but I think giving it 6 episodes is a perfect length for a show like this, because you get your message across, you get your ideas across, you get the concepts of what you're going for across, and it really does work. And if it had gotten an extra episode, which could have been, you know, the effects of the end of the show, it could have been fine, but I think where it leaves off, I think the stuff that gets included, I think it really works very well. And like I said, when you stick something like this with, of course, Dope Sick or any other shows that deal, or even movies that deal with these types of things like Aaron Brockovich or civil action or whatever, I think it really gives you a good concept that there are a lot of problems in society and a lot of problems in the world that even we don't see. And even though this is a fictional story, unlike Dope Sick, it really feels close to the heart, I guess you could say. It's a really powerful story. Like I said, the only thing I really don't care for is the music, but it is very much of its culture, so the music's a lot different than what we're used to. We'd have like more melodramatic or more dramatic score and more, you know, dark and disturbing, and they have it, you know, very, you know, earthy old score, I guess you could say, but it does make the show feel a little melodramatic in a lot of places. But overall, like I said, it's a fantastic show. It really is something that if you're really interested to see what it's like for a different culture to have to deal with something like this and the effects and ramifications, the idea that they had to bring this to Netflix to even get this presented because of the whole ideas of the culture over there, I think you should definitely watch it. If you're not into this kind of stuff, it's definitely not recommended for you. So but with that said, yeah, I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. So with that said, that is my take on The Journalist. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below, let me know what you think of the series. If you decide to watch it, did you see Dope Sick as well? What did you think of that? But otherwise, if you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.